Nemesis Reborn is the new for 2024 reimagining of the iconic Nemesis, a B&M Inverted Coaster which opened in March 1994 at the Alton Towers resort. After 28 years of operation, it became apparent that Nemesis had clearly come to the end of its shelf life, so the park decided to close the ageing ride on November 6, 2022. The ride was quickly demolished until just the lift hill and brakes were left standing, and by April of 2023, brand new track arrived at the resort and Nemesis was slowly reconstructed until its completion just 7 months later. The ride was officially reborn 496 days after the original's closure on March 16, 2024, and celebrated 30 years of operation later in the same month. Anyway, enough about the ride's context. Let's now dive into my thoughts and opinions about this legendary ride. Let's start with the ride experience. You begin your ride on Nemesis Reborn by taking a small right-hand turn out of the station before climbing the lift hill. What's always amazed me about Nemesis is the fact it drops you off just 43 feet above the ground when you reach the top of the lift. After a small pre-drop, you take a tight left-hand turn with a slight descent into what is considered as a first drop, although it's only really there just to build up the speed to go into the iconic first inversion. And that first inversion? An absolutely insane whippy corkscrew. This is honestly one of my all-time favourite inversions on any coaster. You get absolutely flung over this element, which has always surprised me considering how small that first drop really is. You really do feel like your feet are going to get ripped off. Next is the 270 degree downwards helix banked at 90 degrees. This part of the ride is stupidly intense, and I'm so glad the intensity has been kept even after some profiling tweaks during the refurbishment. It's still just as whippy and as forceful as the original 1994 version, which is what many of us were worried about when the park announced that the ride would be refurbished. After about 3.5 seconds of pure intensity, you're then released into a 0G roll over the station, where you pass incredibly close to the brand new animatronic eye. This is easily my favourite element on the ride. After experiencing an insane amount of sustained G-force through the helix, you're suddenly thrown into weightlessness. It's a breathtaking sensation that no other roller coaster can quite replicate. You also have what seems to be a very close call with the station building, which further heightens the sense of speed and the feeling that you're going to lose your feet. You then enter into an 180 degree stall turn, just to turn the coaster around, before dropping 104 feet into the 30 metre vertical loop. As you get pulled through the stall turn, you get very close to the refurbished queue line. You also now encounter a brand new helicopter, which features a very sneaky Easter egg, referencing the original ride's iconic slogan, "Sit back, it's ride time." Then comes the vertical loop. This is a fantastic inversion, even more so now on Nemesis Reborn, as it feels like you get so much more hang time than you ever did on the original loop. Even though it does seem to run faster, that hang time is very good. After passing through a tunnel, you then hit a second stall turn. Sadly, this is where I feel the ride starts to lose a bit of speed. It's actually pretty impressive how the coaster has managed to sustain its speed up to this point, considering that the height of the elements are all roughly the same. Still, that stall turn isn't quite as fast paced as the rest, and you do notice the difference, especially on a colder day. After another close call with the station building, you then fly through the final, hidden inversion, another corkscrew, which is just as whippy as the first one, and is really dug into the ground. After flying past a mushroom cloud luxury tour bus, you then take a right hand turn and come to a gradual stop on the new magnetic brake run. It's a much smoother stop than the original, and while I do miss that classic crashing feeling that you get on the old brake run, I do appreciate just how comfortable this new one is. So that was your virtual ride on Nemesis Reborn. All of that explanation for what is quite a short ride. Nemesis has 2,349 feet of track and traverses this in about 1 minute and 20. So, how does it live up to the original? There's no denying that the original Nemesis was one of the most iconic and thrilling roller coasters of its time. It introduced an intensity that was never seen before, with its fast pacing, whippy inversions and relentless thrill from start to finish. So when Alton Towers announced the reimagining of the ride, there was a lot of speculation. Would it live up to its legacy? Would it be any good? Thankfully, Nemesis Reborn stays true to the spirit of the original, while adding some exciting upgrades. While the layout remains identical, the new track profiling and smoother transitions make the ride even more intense in parts. One of the biggest concerns going into this revamp was whether the ride would lose its signature whippiness and raw intensity, but I'm very happy to say that the ride's character is still there. The first corkscrew, the helix and the 0G roll all feel just as intense, if not even more so. The 0G roll over the station too is an absolute standout. The interaction with the station building feels even more dramatic now, especially with the new animatronic eye, adding that extra thrilling touch. It's a small but brilliant detail that amplifies the ride's atmosphere. Theming is another area where Nemesis Reborn beats the original. While the original ride was dark and intense, the new version feels even more immersive. The station has been fully updated with sleek new features like a dispatch sequence and brand new lighting. The upgraded soundtrack which you can hear in the background is incredible, and further adds to the atmosphere of the area. These subtle changes make the ride feel modern without losing the essence of what made Nemesis such a fan favourite. I was just as amazed on opening day after riding Nemesis Reborn as I was on November 10th, 2019 after my first ride on the original. If you haven't already seen it, here's my review from March. Oh my god!
That was incredible!
Oh my god, it's 10:32 and we've just come off our first ride there on Nemesis Reborn. That was absolutely insane. How was that?
It was amazing!
Amelia, how did you find it?
Absolutely great. Loved it wholeheartedly. Best thing ever.
Incredible ride, isn't it?
Might come in second on my 3.
Oh, this is back to number 1 easily. Didn't even take like 3 seconds after that first drop for it to become number 1.
So much smoother than the original anyway.
The original was definitely a lot rougher, but this definitely has a bit of a rattle to it towards the end. But that was absolutely amazing. That was absolutely incredible. I want to go around on that again. That was amazing. What an incredible ride. So thankful for John Burton and John Wardley who have revamped this and have preserved a ride that...
I think this is the best theme ride in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quite easily.
I'm so happy that this ride is back. Absolutely incredible. Easily the best ride at the park, easily the best ride in the country, and up there with some of the best in the world. That was absolutely amazing.
5 minutes smiling.
That was absolutely incredible. Here's your queue times. Thank you so much, Amelia. There we go.
Rita, Nemesis, Subterra, and Glasgow closed.
Reborn, we're coming out. Yeah, okay.
So yeah, that's what we got.
Yes, there we go. Nemesis Reborn. Wonderful stuff. And we just had our first ride on it. What was your ride?
I loved every minute of that. So bloody flat.
I know, I'm so happy. I knew from the moment we went down that first drop that is the best ride in the country. I was so emotional going up that lift hill. I genuinely couldn't believe it. I was back on Nemesis. And here we are. See what you think of this bad boy. Here comes another train. Well then, Dad, how was your ride?
Incredible. I can't explain the sensations really when going round. It was just absolutely incredible.
Yeah. I knew as soon as we went through that little bit there, it's the best ride in the world. I'm so happy. Oh, thank you. Right, I'm just going to put my glasses back on. Oh, I can see now. Yeah, that was absolutely amazing. So happy to have this ride back. I'm going to go around for another lap on it. As you can see, I was absolutely amazed, and so was everyone else. But as with any coaster, there are a few downsides worth mentioning. For one, the ride has an unusual rattle which is definitely prominent towards the end of the layout, something which the original never had. It doesn't make the ride rough or anything, but it does somewhat take away from the otherwise smooth experience in a few spots. The ride is definitely smoother than the original, but this is quite annoying. The original never had this. Another downside is the removal of the front row queue. Now, I'm definitely someone who prefers the back few rows for the extra intensity, but there's something special about that front row experience. It's the one place where you can truly see everything in front of you and no obstruction, and it really heightens that sense of speed as you swoop close to the ground and surrounding theming. It's a shame that we've lost this, as it makes getting a front row ride a lot harder, but I have to admit, a front row ride definitely feels more special now because of this. I got an amazing front row in March, it was fantastic, and one in August, and one in November. I just seem to be very lucky. While these are certainly minor issues, they do stand out just a little in what is otherwise a fantastic coaster experience. I think that's enough nitpicking for one day. Let's move on. So we have now come to the end part of the video. Thank you all so much for watching up to this point, it really does mean a lot to me. Anyway, the big question that everyone asks, is Nemesis Reborn better than the original? If you ask me, then the answer is definitely yes. The ride has kept everything that made the original Nemesis great, but it's been enhanced. Both versions are absolutely spectacular, but Nemesis Reborn feels like this natural evolution to the original. It's faster, it's smoother, it's more intense, but also it has these little added touches that make it stand out as this top tier coaster. I'm sure it'll be running for another 30 years. Another generation of thrill seekers can get to ride this. That's why I'm so glad they've preserved this iconic coaster. Now for my rating, for Nemesis Reborn, I give this ride a 9.5 out of 10. Nemesis Reborn definitely falls into that must-ride category for me. It's intense, it's immersive, and has enough re-rideability to make it worthwhile. I can easily lap this 3 to 4 times in a day and not get bored. The reason for this score? Well, it's nearly perfect. There are a couple of small areas that could definitely be improved. The rattle being the biggest flaw for me. There's also that single rider queue. Come on, you can fit a single rider queue in there. If you were waiting a long time, I'd say it's definitely worth the wait. Anywhere between 90, 120 minutes, a big queue, but it's definitely worth it. There's just enough excitement and intensity to make it stand out as one of the park's top attractions, without losing the iconic spirit that made Nemesis the amazing ride that it was. So what do you think? Does Nemesis Reborn live up to the legend, or do you think the original still holds the crown? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.